How did your high school crush turn out as an adult? He had a roller coaster of a life. I admire him more than ever, and more than most people I know, but can't wrap my head around why I ever found him physically attractive. Maybe it was always just his heart. By age 25, he had a PhD, a wife, and was a captain in the Navy. By 30, he had 2 PhDs, a small business where he made a metric butt ton of money, and his wife was pregnant. By 31 he was diagnosed with stage 4 skin cancer that swiftly spread to his lymph nodes, bones, esophagus, and a few other places. He was told he had minimal chance of making it 5 more years. Even with the best health insurance money can buy, it still basically wiped him out. 7 years later, he's living a comfortable but not extravagant life as a civilian contractor for the Navy. Same wife and 2 happy healthy kids, and spends most of his free time advocating for better public health care. Freaking legend. Began acting. It's weird. Every so often I'll see a commercial or something and be like, oh, hey, I know them. My crush is an incredibly sweet person, so I'm glad. I remember walking up to her and asking if we could talk in private, and she said you can say what you need in front of everyone. Her group of friends were all around. So I asked if she wanted to go on a date. She burst out laughing and said yeah, number. Crap was rough, man. Looked her up last year and she's a cage fighter now. What? I guess she's always been a pro at hurting people for others' entertainment. I had 2 unrealized crushes in high school. One is a teacher and musician. She is married and has either 1 or 2 kids. We've kept in loose contact via social media and ran into each other at a night party shortly before she got married. I was introduced to her now husband as favorite ex ever. He seemed like a decent dude and I'm happy for her. I believe the other became a US attorney. I have not heard from her since Google Plus almost became a social media thing. I imagine she's still very productive and would be disappointed in my life choices. He was this nice cool guy who would consistently post memes and stuff on social media. Then 2 or 3 years later, he deleted all of his social media. I don't have his phone number or know any friends that know him, so I don't know how he's doing, but I hope he's doing well. My only GF in high school was my crush. Her mom banned her from dating me after about a year because my GF admitted to her mom that we were fooling around. This was about 20 years ago. She's still living with her mom, no kids, and as far as I know never again dated seriously after her mom broke us up. Still has the same job from high school too. It's like her mom went way into protective overdrive and my former GF never grew up. Frick. The day I realized I was no longer young was the day I realized every last girl I had a crush on in high school had either become a mom, a lesbian, or both. Mine was my best friend. She turned out to be a pedophile. She always liked younger guys. Like when she was 17 she had a 13-year-old boyfriend, which was weird, but we were kids and I didn't think about it much. Turns out she continued to like younger teens as she grew into her 20s and 30s. Whoa. Found her on Tinder. She said I was hot. Pointed out that I was that loser she used to know in high school. Had a big laugh. Been a little over a year. Now we send each other memes and hang out occasionally when the pandemic isn't being a bee. So you're saying there's a chance? She's still hot, successful and wealthy entrepreneur, and married someone with the same first name as me and who quit his job to brew beer. I crushed on her for a bit. Didn't think she was interested, so I dated others. Then come to find out she crushed on me senior year. I was too dumb and blind. We connected freshman year of college. She wrote me letters. And by the time I wised up she had moved on. No one to blame but myself. What if you built a time machine and went back in time, then changed your last name? They both ended up as great guys. One has a huge family and is a minister. The other only has 1 child and is a college professor. Both married nice people and are happy. They were really good guys in high school and ended up being really good adults. I've got both of them on Facebook and we keep in touch peripherally as we stayed friends over the years. Reading this I was thinking who you have a crush on probably says a lot about who you are as a person. Never thought about that. I've always knew that about if someone dates toxic guys or girls or whatever, but didn't think about if your crush was a good person. LOL. I was a freshman and had a crush on a senior. To add to it, she was a cheerleader and her brother played QB for the football team and got a college scholarship. She showed up at a football game a couple of years later with a baby in tow. She's married now and back in her hometown. That's about all I know. I thought you were going to say the brother had something to do with that baby. An insanely talented molecular biology researcher at Boston, and she's still insanely attractive. Considering Boston is a hub for life sciences, and that most researchers in the field start out with mol bio, saying, molecular biology researcher at Boston is essentially the same as programmer in Bay Area. Haha, my husband. Our first marriages didn't work out and we reconnected after our divorces. If only I would have confessed I had a crush on him in high school, might have saved myself a lot of trouble. LOL. Sometimes we need the painful experiences to become the people we are today. That time apart is what makes us who we are and what we love about the other person. Love is about timing too, and you guys reconnected at the perfect time. Back when I was younger and crushing hard, I got on AOL Instant Messenger and had gotten my crush's screen name from a friend. I worked up the nerve to start a conversation with him, and soon after some awkward small talk he sent me a message in Comic Sans, black background, red lettering, and in French. I then went to Google for translation and found out he had just called me a pig, in French. Being a seemingly awkward and chubby teenager, I was literally crushed. The heartbreak was only made worse by remembering that a few weeks prior I had selected to take French class the next year and couldn't change it. Years later, now that I've blossomed, he follows me on every social media platform, has reached out a couple of times to try and flirt, hang out. Hard pass. I believe he's moved away and is a teacher now. The now you want me because I'm hot attempt. I had a lady try that post college. Maybe had she not been so mean about turning me down when I asked her out before, I would have considered it. He's doing good for himself. He's grown emotionally, has a seemingly healthy relationship with a longtime girlfriend, and is working healthfully on all his career and personal goals. I hope that if someone ever had a crush on me, this would be their description of my current status. Hahaha. My first high school crush who sat next to me in freshman year English was a really cute punk rock girl, and she's gone on to become an incredibly hot fitness model. Jackie was a rich punk rocker, a silver spoon on a paper plate. It was one of those days where they just suddenly pop into your head and you decide to try and look them up on Facebook. Found him. He ended up being a pilot. Added him and we became Facebook friends. Turns out he has a flight attendant girlfriend and they were traveling together, and then few months after being FB friends they shared the news they were having a baby. Haha. Ha 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 ah. Hey ha ah. Became a professional cheerleader. Died of breast cancer at 34. Googling names from high school is crazy. My crush became an NFL cheerleader. Still alive though, and, no, we never dated and she didn't remember me at the class reunion. I never made a move in high school. About 7 years after graduating, I saw her on social media and said what the heck and asked her out. We've been dating for about 2 years and I'm about to pop the big question. Wishing you both the best. Ended up committing suicide a few years after high school. She was a teacher and got caught having an affair with a female student. Well, this is dark. I briefly worked with mine and didn't realize it was her until I left for another job. She looked almost unrecognizable, but it was 15 years after I last saw her. She's married with a couple of kids now, so pretty standard life I guess. I had several. One of them is still a close friend, and he became a primary care doctor. He also officiated my wedding. I have no idea what happened to another one. We didn't really have overlapping friend groups and she doesn't do social media. One of them is a math professor now, so that's pretty cool. My biggest crush in high school was my longtime neighbor, but it also fizzled out pretty quickly after we went to homecoming together. We're still good friends, and our families still keep in touch. He's also the guy who introduced me to my husband. Hot douche who doesn't really do much except go to the gym. To be fair, that's how he was in high school. I just liked it back then. If you always wanted to date Chip Matthews from high school, you're going to end up on a date with Chip Matthews from high school. Overdosed and died last year. I got to see him before he was taken off life support with a really good mutual friend we shared. Organ donor too. It was surreal seeing him dwarfed by all these machines. He had one of the largest hearts I've ever come across. We reconnected through Facebook, though I can't stand FB anymore. When in our late 40s and now she is my wife. She's still beautiful. Well, dang. Someone's got internet game. There was a girl I really admired for a while. She didn't really give me the time of day after freshman year though. She was co-valedictorian and hugged me as I crossed the stage at graduation, and no one else got one. I'm still really confused about that 6 years later. She went on to med school and is either married or at least engaged to a guy she met there. Overall she's doing really well, and I'm happy for her. Going to an all-boys school sucks for having realistic crushes. However, ran into one of the teachers years later and she still looked bellissima. I went to an all-girls school. Crushes were desperate and far between. Went on to be a teenage model for hair products. Graduated from Yale. Toured Europe. Opened her own successful ceramics company that is sold worldwide and is often written up in magazines. It makes me feel like crap every time I think of her. Still a 10 for looks. I'm sure she kept on as the amazing, kind person she is. She moved to another country, speaks multiple languages and is more successful than I imagined. She seems happy but we haven't talked since the time I told her how I felt about her about 20 years ago. LOL that last sentence. Ouch. I had 3, 1 from the first 2 years and 2 from the last 2. The first one is now F2M trans, who walked to Colorado to join a cult commune. He is now in Arizona recording rap albums. The second girl moved to Florida and lives in a swamp. She periodically hits me up to tell me she misses me. How dumb I was that I didn't follow through. That we should get married. The third was a missionary. She wasn't really into it once she grew up. Came back home and I introduced her to one of my closest friends. They've been married for 15 years. 0/3. You made me check and she is actually a very successful artist and an art teacher at a renowned university in France. She even got decorated for her work. Chevalier des Arts et des Lettres. Dang, this award in France is kind of a big deal when you're an artist. She ended up dating and marrying the guy who bullied me all through middle school and high school. They seem like a functional family from what I see on social media. You were 2 murders away from being Snape. My high school ex randomly sent me a text years after we split up that went, "I know you don't like metal, but I thought you'd like this," and a link to a clarinet cover of a metal song I played in HS. Little did he know that I hated playing clarinet and I was now a total metalhead. Why does this sound like a rom-com slice of life story? One of them is homeless and a druggie. It's very sad. The other one is famous in his home country, is a best-selling author, and is regularly on TV. Don't have a crush on him anymore, but I'm glad we are still friends, and I'm happy for how well he's done. I guess they balance one another out. She was aware then, over 30 years ago, but it was unrequited. We've been in casual contact through Facebook for the past several years, and once before that my wife, at the time, and I had her and her husband over for dinner. From what I can tell, she's grown into a person I probably would have been happy with. It's nice to see my high school perspective got a few things right. I think we'd be good friends if we lived closer. She appears to be living a good life with her husband and family. With my second wife, I'm happier than I could have ever imagined. Life worked out well. Second paragraph is delightfully wholesome. Still cute as heck. One of the kindest and most sensitive people I know, and still one of my best friends 15 years later. He's also recently divorced. His wife was gay but needed time and support to come to terms with it, and now he and I are slowly testing the waters. What started as a crush has matured into a deep and rich friendship, and, however it may unfold, I'm so grateful to have that relationship in my life. That's how I got my husband. His wife left him for his best friend. Obviously he was going through a divorce after and we became best friends. We always were good friends, but it got so much better and we fell in love. It's been 10 years and I can't believe I married such a little hottie. Good luck. He's always posting average photos on Facebook with douchey artsy captions that make me cringe with his name water stamped on. Very well. He joined the military and served for a number of years, was in after Vietnam and out before the Gulf War, so I'm not sure if he actually saw much active duty, and then settled in Korea where he trained in Taekwondo and did a lot of professional fighting, and won a lot of awards, attained the rank of Grandmaster and returned to the US and opened a very successful school that specializes in TKD and Hapkido, has opened additional locations, and is currently looking to open one in our old hometown. I imagine that will happen post-COVID. For a second I thought you were talking about Cobra Kai lol. She worked with the Obama administration. I forgot in what capacity. Got married to some politician's son. Don't remember, don't care to look up. She is happy and that's the only thing that matters. Oh, she was also our school's valedictorian. She was so busy with her job she could not organize a high school reunion, so that's a plus. I wasn't head over heels for her. I admired her but I knew I wasn't for her. Then there's another crush of mine. We ran into each other years after graduation at grocery store. After talking I asked her out to dinner at my house. I pull out all the stops, I buy rainbow trout fillets and make all the fixings. 6:30 rolls around, I open the door and who the heck is this man behind her? Oh, this is my fiance, she tells, neglected to tell me about me. Turns out they wanted to sell me on some MLM thing. She tried to cross the threshold. I put my arm out and asked them politely to leave. I turned away from the door and had my saddest meal I ever ate. If she's doing an MLM and working with methods like this, she is not only an butthole but a loser too. Congrats on not ending up with her. I had a few in high school. One ended up moving away after sophomore year and no one knew why. She reached out to me when I had a mental breakdown online and said that she could understand what I was going through. Some fricked up crap happened to her, though she never said what specifically. I didn't ask further because it wasn't my business to pry. I'm not sure how she is now. Another got super hot after high school and she did a degree in science. Again, not sure where she is now, but I think she's doing alright. And the third works at a bank. We ended on bad terms. Partially my fault. I found out she was making fun of me behind my back and had done so for months beforehand, so I sent her an angry message. Haven't seen her since then. No dude, frick the girl making fun of you. I myself would drop them if they didn't drop me first. One is still active duty in the military and she has a very successful career as an officer. I hope she continues to be. The other is successful in the arts and I hope she continues to be that as well. Both are married to others who treat them well. I'm happy that they are both happy. My life is still going good here, so I have no hard feelings. Harvard. Degrees in writing and medicine. Became a leading surgeon in a major city. Extremely proud of her. Always had her on a pedestal. I guess with good reason. The guy I crushed on for 2.5 years did not end up turning out great. I'm still friends with his younger sister, so I know that he recently acquired his third DUI and his second divorce. He's currently living in his friend's basement and occasionally works for his friend's moving company as a mover, but only when he feels like it. He spends all his money on booze and owes the two moms of his 5 kids tons of child support. But man, was he hot in high school. My second crush in high school is the only reason I got over my first crush. He's currently doing great, mostly because he gets to be married to me for going on 20 years. Jesus, what a turn of events. Went from talking about a bum basically then talk about another guy and we've been married for 20 years. Man, your standards must have done a 180 in high school. My crush turned into a self-righteous prick who still lives with his parents. He became livid when he found out my husband and I had a baby. I apparently was supposed to be his backup plan if he couldn't find anyone better. Sounds like you dodge a cannonball, not just a bullet. Thank goodness. I hope things are still good for you. We split sophomore year, went our separate ways, but still sporadically kept in touch as he prepared to go to Iraq. Years passed, he got divorced, and then my husband passed away in 2019 from a motorcycle accident. We reconnected. and decided to hang out as friends. By the second date, we were inseparable. We live together and are incredibly happy. He's beyond supportive of my past grief that I still battle sometimes. He's a great provider and the most loving, selfless person I've known in a very long time. I feel very lucky to have gotten a second chance with my HS crush, first HS boyfriend, first love. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.